Welcome to this episode of Three Questions. I'm Greg Michlig, President and CEO at CUInsight.com, and it's great to be joined by John Findlay, CEO and co-founder at LemonadeLXP. Thanks for being here, John.
Thanks for having me, Greg. I appreciate it.
Yep, great to see you again, and looking forward to hearing your insights. I'm sure our audience is excited to hear from you as well. So, our first question is just an observation. Many credit unions have a training team of one or two people and a mountain of source materials. So there's product docs, there's SOPs, compliance updates, system release notes. How does Lemonade LXP help, lean teams meet their credit union's training and support needs?
Yeah, for sure. I can dig into that. So, a number of years ago, we actually brought some AI capabilities into the platform. We're fortunate that we were able to be a little ahead of the curve because our CTO is a AI expert. But there were a lot of risk concerns from financial institutions, so our customers really weren't able to use them. But that risk appetite has changed as the landscape of AI has changed. And so we were able to last year enrich our AI authoring tools that now enable them to ingest documentation in virtually any format. So think your source materials, all the things you mentioned. It could be regulatory stuff, it could be policies, procedures, product info. It ingests them, and then you simply prompt it, and it creates learning in multiple different formats, game-based learning, role play scenarios, all sorts of different formats that you can author in minutes. The other thing that it does is so you can create the content, but there's also a little chat function where I can ask questions of that knowledge base, which is really handy because often you'll take the training, but you might forget what you learned. But this way you can ask questions in the flow of work, and it will not only give you the answer based on the source material, but if you've created training on it, it will recommend refresher training for you as well. So it's really helping lean teams roll out training faster, but then also sort of unburden themselves from the support aspect of it, because it can answer those questions.
Sounds really helpful. And having someone on the team who is an AI expert in this day and age is putting you way ahead of the game because, man, that's in these conversations, there's so much talk about what AI can do and the way that you're implementing it into your solutions there just sounds like such an advanced step ahead of where a lot of credit unions might be right now. And, most credit unions, really speaking to that, still train frontline staff on member conversations with role plays or scripts, or a manager listening in on calls. So, what's broken about that approach, and what are you doing differently at Lemonade LXP?
Sure. Yeah. So a lot of our customers have told us about sort of that role play training, and there's a bunch of challenges that faces. One, it's not very scalable if you've only got one manager who's trying to train new staff, and financial institutions tend to have, sometimes higher turnover rates, so they've got new people coming over, and you need to train them on those member conversations. It's very difficult to do that at scale. So that doesn't scale all that well. And also those role plays it's hard for them to make them genuine. They always feel a little strange because you're both sort of play acting. So what we did to help with that, to help scale it and to help the learner feel more comfortable, we've actually built an authoring tool that allows you to create member personas that your staff can actually have a conversation with. And so you can create a member persona. Let's say you create a guy who's a contractor and he's coming in to talk about a business loan or something like that, or any type of member persona. And you can then set success criteria. So here's what you want that frontline staff member to say to that person, and here's the products they might want to talk about or introduce into the conversation, and they wanted to do it in a certain way. So the learner then has a conversation with this AI avatar, AI member, and at the end gets feedback on how well they did. And then they can take that as many times as they want to shore up any of the gaps that they had in how they handled it. So the big advantage there is I can take that role play training as many times as I want. It's not dependent on a manager. It also doesn't feel hokey because I'm just sitting in my computer talking to it. And I get that real-time feedback. And so I can take, for example, if it's in a cross-selling scenario, you may have a credit union may have very specific ways that they want that frontline staff to have that member conversation. Well, you can bake that into how your evaluation criteria so that you can start to create a more uniform messaging and format from your frontline staff and how they have member conversations. So we just brought that to market earlier this year, and it's been really well received. A lot of interest and a number of customers using it now. So we're really excited about that feature because it really is addressing that problem of scalability and of allowing learners to have many of those member conversations before they actually end up in the moments that matter. So they've practiced them and they can have them more effectively.
What a great feature. And it sounds, I mean, so much more efficient to your point, right? Than having, a manager try to cover all that ground and consistent. Kind of speaking of efficiency, credit unions are under pressure to prove ROI on every training dollar. So what specific metrics can Lemonade LXP impact for its customers?
So the timing of this question is a good one.
Yeah.
So historically, we have been able to we worked with customers to measure things like new staff onboarding. So we've been able to shrink that by as much as 50%. So get that new staff onboarded faster. We've had our customers see a reduction in attrition, so less turnover. We've seen significant lifts in suspicious transaction reports when we've done AML training. There's been a whole bunch of metrics like that we've been able to achieve for our customers. But what we've always wanted to get to was an integration into their actual systems of record so that we can see, you know, if learners take a specific learning path, do they improve at the business outcome? And the challenge there has always been integrating into various business systems. But now with some of the new things in AI, we've got a couple of new things coming. One is we have an MCP for Lemonade LXP, so I can ask it questions and I can say, give me a report on what learners have finished their certifications for this new product. And I can then see, who's doing well, who isn't. So I get to see like who my superstars are and who the folks are that might need a little nudge. But the next piece is we've integrated with a solution called Snowflakes, kind of like a data lake. And so any customers who are using that can put business data in there, and without us seeing their business data, it'll correlate and say, our top cross sellers have taken these courses in Lemonade. So let's put the rest of our frontline into those courses so we can improve them. So that's where it's all headed with new AI capabilities. And we're really excited about that because connecting learning outcomes and learning investments to ROI is really where the holy grail lies. And for L&D teams who are often asked to do more with less and all that, a part of it is not being able to necessarily connect the impact of the investment and the ROI of the investment that you made in training. So we're really excited about that piece.
Yeah, you're spot on with that comment too, that it is the right time of the year to be having that conversation about ROI. It's budgeting season for
Yeah.
for credit unions. So
Yeah.
glad to have had this conversation with you and in this time frame, John. It's great to reconnect with you. I appreciate you taking the time to join me.
Well, thanks for having me, Greg. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And thank you for your partnership. And thank you also to all who tuned in for this 3 questions video interview. We'll see you next time.